Howdy everybody! Welcome to another edition of Cooking with Lily and Generoso. Tonight we are going to be getting the very beginnings of soy done, and then we're going to finish the rest of it tomorrow. Soy is kind of a also blanket term for glutinous sweet rice. There are a ton of different ways that you can eat it. The one I'm going to make tonight is a pretty simple one made with mung beans and coconut milk, and it's served with mea, which is a ground up sesame, sugar, and salt mix. So it's the night before, and one of the major important things is that we need to soak two of the major contents because soy is always made in the steamer, and glutinous sweet rice and mung beans take forever to soften up. So you want to get most of the softening done so that the steamer just cooks everything and makes it all nice and squishy and also sticky as well. So let's get started. So I'll show you at least all the ingredients at this point. We have salt, we have sugar, we have sweet rice, we have sesame seeds, and we have split and peeled mung beans, and we have a can of coconut milk. So this is a really simple dish. You don't really need to, there's no chopping, there's nothing really in terms of anything complex. It's mostly about making sure that you soak the sweet rice and the mung bean before, and that you actually make the mea fresh. And you toasted the sesame seeds a little bit before, which is always nice. And we'll do all of that tomorrow. So it's a super simple preparation before. We're just going to open up the sweet rice. I think I'm going to have to use a knife to do this.
I think you do. It's a very firm bag. It's okay. I use my teeth. Maybe not the best solution for problems.
So I'm just going to measure 2 cups of sweet rice. Oh no! That's okay. More sweet rice is better than none. Also, be careful. Sometimes your sweet rice bags will have these preservative packets in it. Make sure you don't put those into your bowl. This is 1 cup. And that's probably 1.5 cups in there already. So I'm going to put that back. I'll just put another 1/2 cup. Alright, so you want about 2 cups of sweet rice. And then, to those 2 cups of sweet rice, you want 1.5 cups of mung beans. Again, this is definitely a dish that doesn't require serious measuring or really serious preparation. It's definitely a dish that you would eat kind of on a Sunday morning or in the afternoon as a snack. It's a very casual dish as compared to some other things. So 1 cup. And 1/2. Alright. So just take your hands, smooth it all out, mix up the rice and the mung bean, just so that they all get some water. Alright. And that is it for tonight, and we'll see you back tomorrow morning to wrap all of this up. Alright, welcome back everybody. It is the next day. So it's been well over 12 hours, and our mung bean and sweet rice has soaked. I added a little bit more water this morning when I woke up because I noticed that it had absorbed everything, but that's fine. That's a good thing. And so now we're just going to drain this into a steep kind of colander that we're actually going to use to steam the rice in itself. So all you got to do is pour it all in. It doesn't have to be the driest. You actually want to keep some of the water anyway, so it's no big deal.
And then you're going to go right to steaming it anyway, so it doesn't matter so much. Excellent.
So, and even it out. And then we're going to put it right on top of boiling water that has already been heated. It's not boiled yet. I'm going to even this out. And I'm going to put a lid on it.
Yes.
And we're going to let this steam for probably about 30 minutes, keeping an eye on it and constantly kind of giving it a turn and a toss, and we'll see you soon. So our sweet rice and mung bean is just steaming, and we have a small pan that is heating up, and I'm going to take this time to toast some sesame seeds. So this bag says it's already roasted. It was roasted before it was bagged.
It's a lie!
So I want to just roast this again just to give it some extra flavors. So the way that I'm going to make the mea, which is the sesame, sugar, and salt, is going to be 2 parts sesame to 1 part sugar and 1 part salt. And you can adjust this to your own taste.
So it's the 1/4 cups you're putting in?
So I'm going to put 2/4 cups, so half a cup. I just wanted to use the same measuring unit for everything, so it's 2 parts sesame, 1 part sugar, 1 part salt.
Cool beans.
You can make this in as small or as big of a batch as you would like. All I'm going to do is let the sesame toast up a little bit in this pan. It's not going to take any time.
Now, you didn't put any oil or anything in the pan, right?
Nope. It's exactly like how you would toast any like big piece or a dried herb, or I'm trying to think other things that you would toast.
An iguana.
Iguanas.
Yes.
Don't toast iguanas.
Well, you have to kill them first, which is kind of sad.
And what you will notice is as you put your, if you can actually get a scent of the roasting, you'll notice that it almost has like a rich peanut butter smell, and that's exactly what you want. You don't want any of this to burn. That's the most important thing. Alright, so I'm going to let this toast for about maybe 5 more seconds, continuing to toss it, and then we're going to throw this in the food processor.
All right.
If you don't have a food processor, you could use a blender. And if you don't have either, you could actually put this all into a big Ziploc bag and use a mallet or a hammer or something as well.
That seems about right.
I'm going to open up the food processor. Go and take this pan.
Excellent.
All right. So at this point, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar. My handy dandy sugar container. This is something that if you want it a little sweeter, you can add more sugar. My sugar's clumping up on me a tiny bit. And if you want it to be saltier, you can always add more salt too. I prefer mine to be kind of a little bit sweeter. So what I'll probably do is actually do a 1/4 cup of each, sugar and salt, and then add a tiny bit of sugar for good measure. Of course, if you have a bag of sugar, you can just get the scoop out. What I kind of like about using the dispenser is that as you taste it, you can just add a little bit more sugar.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
All right, so let's do a little extra, just for good measure, as I said. Put it into the food processor. Do 1/4 cup of salt. As I said, I generally prefer mine to be a little bit more on the sweet side, so I'm actually going to put probably a tiny bit under 1/4. Again, this is all to taste. Everybody kind of has their own preferences. I like mine sweeter, my mom liked hers saltier. You know, when you get this at a bakery or shop, sometimes it'll be sweeter or saltier as well. And most of the time, they actually won't grind it. Grinding the sesame seeds with the sugar and salt is really important because it breaks up the sesame seeds, and it also makes it almost have a little bit of like a creamy richness, which is really interesting, and it's really nice to put on top of the soy. So we're just going to put the lid on.
Otherwise, sweetheart.
Oh. You can tell that I don't use the food processor that often. Alright,
there we go.
And we're just going to pulse this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gotta plug it in first. That's an important part. Remember, plug in your food processor. And we'll just pulse.
check it. So at this point, some of the sesame seed has been crushed, not all of it, but you can definitely smell it. How much got crushed. Yeah, so some of the sesame is getting crushed into it, and some of it's still staying whole. You want to try to crush the sesame as much as you can, so I'm going to give it another pulsing cycle. Again, this is one of those kind of, I don't know what's like a good American equivalent. It's one of those toppings that everybody has their own version and has it to their own preference. A decent amount of it is crushed. If you look inside, you'll notice that there aren't too many whole sesame seeds left. There's still some. Feel free to blend it out. I'm probably going to go ahead and blend it out, but it's perfectly ready to go right now. This is more of a preference of texture, really. If you want more sesame seeds that are whole so that you get more of a coarse, man, that's perfectly fine. This is probably one of the easiest dishes that I've ever made, I think. And it's really something that is always fast and it's always really delicious and doesn't have very many ingredients. So I'm going to continue to blend this out, and we'll see you soon when we check in on the sticky rice and the mung. Right, hi everybody. It's actually been 2 hours, so it's taken a much longer time than expected. That's mostly because the way that we're steaming today is not necessarily the best way. If you actually have a steam tray that goes down into the pot, then that is the best thing to do. But the problem about most American steam trays is that the holes are too big. So that's why we ended up having to use this kind of modified colander setup. And so throughout the 2 hours, what I've done is I've checked and looked at the water level to see how much water is left. And if there was not enough water left, I would just put some water into the kettle, boil it, and then pour it back in. And then occasionally, when it was getting a little too dry with the rice, I added a tiny bit of boiling water and kept stirring. So let's take the lid off and let's see how it's doing. At this point, the rice is starting to look pretty good. You'll notice that the rice is no longer white. It's kind of translucent a little bit, and that's exactly what you want. You'll notice that it is really fluffy too, which is great. And the mung beans are also soft and kind of crushed up into the rice, which give it a really nice flavor. So now we're adding the final touch into all of this, and we're going to let it steam for a little bit. I'm going to add about ½ a can of coconut milk onto this. And that's what really makes this dish delicious. I'm just using a spoon to evenly add it so that not too much of the milk falls through the actual colander and actually gets onto the rice. And again, like I said, this is something I ate for breakfast a lot when I was a kid. It's often eaten for dessert as well. You can really eat it whenever you would like. So I'm just going to give this a quick toss, just to make sure that all the milk gets through. Because after all, coconut milk is delicious, and you want it to coat and flavor everything. Finish up one last scoop for good measure. Actually, let's do 2 last scoops. Alright. Then I'm going to take the chopsticks again. Just give this a good whir. Just to make sure the milk coats everything. Alright. So now I'm just going to put the steamer lid back on, just so that it allows the coconut milk to cook on a little bit. For 10 minutes. And we'll see you right back here with the final product. Hi everybody, so it's been actually about 12 minutes and the steam has continued with the rice and the coconut milk. I'm just going to take a rice paddle and fluff this all up.
Oh.
It should smell really nice. This should have a nice fluffy texture, and it's a little fluffy, a little sticky. Alrighty.
Alright.
And now this is soy with mung beans. And let me actually just put it on a plate with some man. And if you follow me over here, I will do that. So grab just a pretty plate. This is going to be, again, it is sweet sticky rice, so don't worry, it is going to stick. Because if you're talking about just regular rice, you don't want it to be so mushy.
Now, you say you would eat this in the morning. Even the sweet variety was a morning dish?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because I know that this can be made with shallots as well.
Yeah, there's a version, there are a bunch of different kinds of soy. There's one that's this beautiful bright green, which has a pandan extract, which is almost a like banana leaf coconut taste. And then outside of that, there's a version with hominy and shallots. It's a little more savory. And then there's also the version that's actually salty, that is made with like some chicken broth in the cooking process and is served with Chinese sausage, actually. And that version is very delicious too. So all I'm gonna do is gonna get some man. We've taken it out and put it in a bowl. Just gonna give it a good mix before I sprinkle it on. And then you just sprinkle it over. Smooth it on out. Essentially, you want every bite to have a little bit of man in it because it really makes it special. And that's it. This is soy with mung beans and coconut milk. Enjoy!